All right, folks, what do you say? A little pro football today on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi. I got to tell you, Joe.
You're amped up.
Might be my favorite show we do here on SportsGrid. It is not any regular pro football today. It is Selection Sunday, which means right here on this very desk, when the CFP committee goes live, we will be dialed in. Who's in? Who's out? Plus, of course, a full breakdown of today's NFL slate, Joe. It's a busy one.
Oh, I can't wait. I remember this last year, right? We had some controversy.
A little.
Not as much as we have
2 years ago.
this year. Somebody is going to be very upset from a fan base perspective. Is it Miami? Is it Notre Dame? Is it the great state of Alabama? And Kalen DeBoer?
Maybe.
That might be kicking himself. He didn't take the Penn State job after that performance yesterday, but we'll see. And we have great games on tap for the NFL. I mean, Chicago, Green Bay, divisional matchup.
No
The matchup tonight, Houston and Kansas City. Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid on life support, slight heartbeat, 500. Can they get the win against potentially one of the hottest defenses in the NFL, in DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans?
Great questions.
And then can the Miami Dolphins?
Well,
Because I know you like to pump up McDaniel.
Well,
Can they keep their slim playoff hopes alive and save McDaniel's job?
more
Moving
likely to make
6-7.
the playoffs, the Dolphins or the Hurricanes, the people of Miami on the edge of their seat. I will let people know at the moment, so this is about an hour away, a little less. Alabama to make it, minus 310, yes. Miami to make it, plus 160, yes. Notre Dame, who people are saying, cut line, not so sure about the Irish. They're minus 1,500 to make the college football playoff. We will track throughout our show here on this Sunday morning. But to Joe's point, what an NFL Sunday we have for you. The AFC North will see a major shift today, not just with Cincinnati going to Buffalo, but the head-to-head battle for the first time this season with the Ravens and the Steelers. You will see, I think, the loser have quite a climb in front of them to make the playoffs, which was the case on Thursday night between the Lions and the Cowboys. One of the biggest games we've had this NFL season was Detroit and Dallas, Joe, where the winner was still going to have a bit of a climb, but the loser was going to feel a bit lifeless as far as it comes to a playoff push. Lions 44, Cowboys 30. What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, again, the Lions bounced back into form from an offensive perspective. We saw Jamison Williams lead the team 96 receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime he touches the football, he's electric. And again, we've seen the Dallas Cowboys and their defense up until that point was playing very good and very opportunistic against wins against the Eagles and Kansas City. But on the road in a very difficult environment, they could be exposed. And I think that's what transpired on Thursday night. And Jared Goff and this team are a much better home team than they are outside. They haven't stepped up as consistently this year. But we talk about the weapons that they do possess, Kev.
Yeah.
And again, that's Dallas's weakness, right? Attack Dallas at every level, the running back position, the tight end position. Both running backs, Montgomery and Gibbs, could catch. So, and Jamison Williams, and we know St. Brown was a little bit banged up, but Jamison Williams is an up-and-comer potentially, just like JSN was this year. Right? He could be an elite wide receiver in this league, and that's what you saw play out.
Yeah, I think, for Detroit, it is kind of the status quo. This team does not lose consecutive football games. They kept that streak alive. Give Amon-Ra a lot of credit. I mean, he absolutely smashed my expectations in that football game. Played 4 quarters, 92 yards. Did not see that coming. Jahmyr Gibbs, if anybody was going to unseat Jonathan Taylor and Jackson Smith-Njigba in the OPOY race, it would be Jahmyr Gibbs. Another 3-touchdown performance, 77 receiving yards. It was very, very impressive. But I think, Joe, for Dallas, I don't think it's unfair to say they were exposed a little bit. this idea that the defense had been completely revamped and, oh, my goodness, look at this unit. The Raiders are awful. Eagles let them off the hook. KC still got to 28, and they didn't play very well in that game.
Right.
Now, look, it was a tough stretch to play the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Lions, but it was 44 in a game where I don't even know if Detroit looked all that great. Dallas at 6-6 likely need to run the table and get lots of help in order to catch the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's why I think you now have this situation for Dallas where they are very likely to miss the playoffs. And I think people will have to, have a bit of a reality check here on a one-time 6-5 team that we talked about as a 9 or 10 win team with a Coach of the Year candidate in Brian Schottenheimer. I don't see it that way. The Lions' victory, though, Joe, made Packers-Bears even more important today. Easily, I would say, the biggest NFC game on this slate. The winner will have life for the 1 seed. The loser will be looking to hold off Detroit. Now, Green Bay will have an easier time doing that because they've swept the Lions, right? So having that tiebreaker, it's a big benefit for them. The Bears have already been smashed by Detroit. They play them and host them in Week 18. Give me your thoughts here because, again, it's a packed show. We're going to get right into this, Joe. Packers-Bears, 6.5, 7-point number.
Oh, we talk about how hot the Bears are. They won 5 straight by an average margin of victory of 4.6 points per game. They did pick up a 9-point win over Jalen Hurts and one of the best teams, I believe, still in the conference in Philadelphia. Went into the Link as a 7-point dog and came out with a 9-point victory, right? They're able to run the football. Monangai and DeAndre Swift have been a fantastic, combo with the rushing attack.
Yeah.
Caleb hasn't been, I want to say, elite, but he's been good enough to obviously distribute the football. They're playing and winning games with Odunze banged up and hurt, right? And then that defense now has been opportunistic. When you force turnovers and you can go into the Link and you can win those type of games and shut down Saquon and shut down Jalen Hurts and that high-powered offense for the most part, you've done a great job. Now, this team, it's back-to-back road games. It's not going to be easy in this matchup because Green Bay, again, played very well on that Thursday. They exploited Detroit in every capacity. The defense bounced back with a solid effort, and Jordan Love looked like he was on point. Jaden Reed does come back. Again, would it shock me if they lose this game, Chicago? No. But I still think they're a legitimate contender. Now, if the season ended today, they'd be the number 1 seed. I don't buy into that factor.
Yeah.
But again, this is a team that can make some noise in a playoff.
Yeah, I expected this line to be around 5.5, and that's where it opened up. It's moved all the way up now. And last night we had 7s in the market. They were a little pricier. Those are gone. If this gets back to 7, I will look at Chicago. I do think the Bears are, as the season goes on, setting themselves up to be a tough team to extend on. Part of their ability to win these close games, look, I know a lot of that is a negative, but they're comfortable in those games. And with a rush attack that had its best game of the season against Philadelphia, they're likely to go back to that here against Green Bay. And I think that makes Monangai and Swift very, very interesting. Add in no Rome Odunze, Joe, and that's going to lead to even more and more groundwork. I think, and people will say this is maybe unfair for the Bears, but it almost feels like this is another prove-it spot for them, where they beat Philly.
Right.
But then you watch the game play out, and it goes, sorry, Chicago, that wasn't about you. That's about the Eagles and their issues. Do it again. Right. And I don't think the Bears need to win this football game to prove to people, hey, they're real, they're a playoff team. But if they get blown out, right, if this is 30-14 Green Bay, conversations are going to shift.
Obviously. I think they're similar to where Washington was last year with Jaden Daniels. Every win, right? Because every win it was like, okay, it's great, but now show me, right? And then every playoff win it built as well until they got to the championship game. Then at the championship game, they all bought in and they got smashed, right? I mean, but it took that long for everybody to buy in.
It did. Look, it's going to be a really fun slate here. We have to get ourselves over to the AFC North. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, probably the purest rivalry in the National Football League. Tons of implications. We'll break it down right here on SportsGrid.
They have a bigger talent pool potentially, and they're going to give them anything it takes to potentially get this team back to a national championship. And if you want to set a legacy, you could maybe have one good year at Ole Miss and maybe potentially, 5 or 6 9-3 campaigns, but you're not going to make the playoff each and every season, or at least that's the mindset. You have a better path at LSU or a bigger school.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, that's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the Best Bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Florida was thought to get Lane Kiffin, but they go and turn to Tulane head coach John Summerall. This is a solid hire, coach.
He's a tough-minded coach. I thought he would be a perfect fit at Auburn, just knowing he's from Alabama. But I think Florida got an outstanding coach. He will be a tough nut that knows how to win football games.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Back to the right here on SportsGrid, and it is time to break down the Ravens and the Steelers in Baltimore. And, Joe, I want to start with this. Before we get to the side, before we get to the total, Lamar Jackson, multi-time MVP who nearly had a third put on the mantle last season because he threw 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and had this brilliant season. You look at the start to the year before the injury, and he was on that type of trajectory, it felt again. The first game back from the injury, he didn't really look himself, but the Dolphins were in a bit of shambles. He threw 4 touchdowns to just 5 incompletions and was great. The 4-game since is probably the worst 4-game stretch of Lamar Jackson's entire career. 1 touchdown pass. 3 interceptions, 3 consecutive games without a touchdown pass. On the ground, he has ran over this 4-game stretch for less than 40 yards in all of them, less than 30 in 3 of the 4. He's thrown for less than 200 yards in 3 of the 4. And some of it was covered because they were winning. And then they were smashed by the Cincinnati Bengals in Baltimore Thanksgiving night. What are you expecting from Lamar Jackson in this game today?
To take the game over. And I mean on the ground, maybe not so much through the air, but to take the game over and exploit, I believe, a Swiss cheese defense in Pittsburgh. Let's look at last week, right? Pittsburgh allows, the most rushing yards, I think, in home field history. I think, what was it, 300 against James Cook and Josh Allen. Josh Allen did rush for 38 yards in that game. I expect the same from Lamar Jackson. I expect the RPO game, Derrick Henry in the ground attack, and then work off of play action. I think it's a smash job today. This is one of my better picks. I really like Baltimore. I'm just not – this is more about Pittsburgh than it is Lamar Jackson. And, again, I think also, too, when you talk about productivity and we talk about Lamar Jackson, this team was such in a must-win situation when he came back. It's almost like that pressure. You have to do everything right. And I'm not even talking about Lamar so much as the OC and the play calling in this game, in these games leading up to it, because I think you have a tendency to get tight. You have a tendency to go to comfortable type of play calls as opposed to just playing all out and opening it up. And hey, let Lamar cook in that aspect, right? So instead of running on first and second down, play action. Get him outside the pocket. Let him improvise. Let him do what he does. We haven't seen that as much in this 5 or 4 game winning streak before they lost on Thanksgiving night to Cincinnati. But the flip side, though, Kev, as bad as Lamar Jackson has been over the past 3 games, you and I have sat on this desk and talked. Baltimore's defense is not good. They bounced back when they were winning games when he came back, and they looked like they were bouncing back into form. But they've been abused this year. Right. Abused. And again, when you have an elite quarterback like Joe Burrow, and like weapons that, well, Higgins didn't play, but like Jamar Chase that tears you up for $110 through the air. And Burrow's first game back, he throws for 261. It's very difficult. Again, I think they could be exposed by multiple teams over the top. The problem is with Pittsburgh, they're not threatening anybody.
Right.
When DK Metcalf is your number one, and he's getting 30 or 40 yards a game, and we'll be critical of J.J. McCarthy because he stinks. But this offense, this passing attack that was supposed to be, Aaron Rodgers, big bad Aaron, his checkdowns to Jalen Warren and Gainwell are ridiculous. This is enough already. You're not challenging anybody over the top.
No, the numbers are jarring as far as it pertains to Rodgers throwing the football downfield. I mean, they're non-existent. It just doesn't happen. However, Joe, you and I talk a lot about, I feel like each week, hey, is this the Steelers spot? Is this the Steelers spot, right?
You think this is the Steelers spot?
Well, Joe, it's because it's the least Steelers spot there is. I say this, and I hope I don't come off like a jerk, but last week they played Buffalo.
We were on Buffalo.
I didn't touch the side. You were on it. You absolutely nailed it. Because, Joe, I think we've done a good job with it this year. If you go, hey, man, nobody's betting Pittsburgh today. Give me Bills. Give me Pittsburgh +3. And then you look around, you're like, oh, wait, he said that. Oh, and then he said that. Oh, and then he said, oh. So everyone thinks it's a Tomlin spot. Well, then it's not a Tomlin spot. It's just not. Joe, like today, nobody wants to come within 10 feet of him.
No? In this rivalry, everybody takes the points. Outside of last year's smash job, they've covered.
Listen, I could be off base, but I think that this is a spot where people aren't going to be super. Because, Joe, it's also a lower number, right? This thing, I think, projected to be 7 a little bit, but Baltimore has left so little to be. Truly, I look at some of today's games, it would have been much better if the Ravens destroyed Cincinnati, because we could have got Cincinnati +7 and Pittsburgh +7, right? If that all, but listen, it happens. But I'm not only betting Pittsburgh, though, because, who's betting Pittsburgh? It can't just be that. I have seen their defense answer the bell in their toughest moments. That's what they did against the Colts. So for Lamar Jackson to go against the defense, Joe, he almost, even when he's having his best seasons, can't dominate. To try and snap out of this, Joe, he's on the injury report every week. I get he plays every week, but he's not right. So it's hard for me to fully expect from Lamar. Now, here's the funny thing, though. Coward's approach. I've done this once before. Good idea, bad result. It was a Gibbs touchdown, parlayed with the Bears, and they getting 14.5. Lost the game by 500, okay? The Bears did. I took, Joe, Lamar to throw one passing touchdown. Come on. Yeah, this is the longest stretch of his career without throwing a passing touchdown in a game. With the Steelers +8.5. -105. That, to me, is... I actually think now, 8.5 is as key as 7.5.
Okay.
Because you have, you're down 14, you get a touchdown. Now I got to go for 2, kind of nonsense. I want to bet Pittsburgh. I'm not pleased with the number. Lamar throws a touchdown today. That's why I played it.
All right, so I did it a little bit different. I really like Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I laid the 5.5.
Got it.
But I took Lamar 40+ rushing.
I took convinced the ground's coming.
And I took the +290 anytime touchdown.
You're convinced the ground's coming. To me, though,
in this game where he has to win,
this is the thing, though. The most prolific version of Lamar 4 touchdowns, 4 incompletions. That's who he is. I think it's going to be interesting to watch play out. We get to Buffalo after the break on SportsGrid. Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had like recent success, maybe not so young, but not, they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags. It's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. The Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real.
Yeah.
They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave.
Yep.
He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number 1 in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, now we get to the good stuff. Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow.
Great game.
Really excited for this game.
Me too.
I will say this. If Cincinnati wins, you see, now you start.
Because I know where you're going. I know, and I hope you're right. I would love to see this team in the playoffs. I would. I love Joey B. I love Chase. I love Higgins. I would just love to see a shootout. I hope they blow through this total today. I'm a little leery, though.
I am too.
I mean, Tampa blew through this total.
Let me give the people something, okay? Because then I'm going to give them a whole bunch of I don't know, Jim. That's what I'm going to give them.
Is that Tony Romo?
That's my impression of Kofsky doing his impression of Tony Romo.
Got it.
I bet Chase Brown anytime touchdown plus
Me
125.
We're dead to rights. I've been betting
another Burrow passing touchdown. Oh my gosh! I am in this spot where we've seen how bad the Buffalo run defense is. Chase Brown last year was a touchdown machine when Cincinnati was right. I understand he didn't get there last week, but that was with some red zone inefficiency. They consistently were kicking field goals early in that football game. I think Chase Brown at plus 125, lead running back in a game with a total of 52.5, 53.5. I think it's really good. So that's on the board. We've played that. Okay, cool. The rest of it, Joe, I don't know. It's freezing weather. Snow's in the forecast. Buffalo is, at this point right now, much better when they run it than when they throw it. Buffalo still can't stop the run, so Cincinnati would be encouraged to run it. Like, I don't know. Like, if it's this much running the football, we're getting over 52.5, the spread freaks me out a bit. Like, where you have this spots like, yeah, Cincinnati's going to get on a heater. Okay, but it's hard to win in Buffalo. It is. It's always been hard to win in Buffalo. And Buffalo has usually been good. Hey, 30. We're at home, 30. You can try and catch us, right? So you could see a world where this is, 36, 33, whatever. Like, it could be a shootout. But it also could get ugly. It's a struggle of a football game here, Joe.
Yeah, so I like Cincinnati from the side.
Yeah.
So I'll take my shot with Burrow, and Higgins comes back into that lineup. I do agree with you with Chase Brown and his ability to hit pay dirt today because, again, starting running back, has been held out of the end zone now for 3 or 4 weeks, right? So in this type of situation, remember back to Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay, Sean Tucker had 3 touchdowns in that loss.
Yeah.
I just worry this could look similar to the playoff win 2 years ago, where they jumped up 14-0 and it was a dead under, right? Where it's just an ugly type of game. I don't know if Buffalo, plays like that so much today. Their backs are against the wall. They get a dominant rushing attack victory on the road in Pittsburgh last week. Defense obviously was opportunistic against Aaron Rodgers and that team, but this is a different animal. Again, Burrow looked a little inefficient early on in that game, but came on and was obviously, completing passes at the end of that game. I think it'll carry through.
Yeah.
And I just 53.5. That total on Thursday night was basically 54.5. That was a dome game. We're talking now bad weather in Buffalo. Yeah, the quarterback matchup is there, but I do worry about Buffalo saying when their backs are against the wall, it's not even so much we'll throw it. It's Josh Allen on the ground, then he had 38, and then James Cook, and then Ty Johnson, and then we saw sweet baby Ray Davis get some yards against Pittsburgh. It could be the 3-headed monster today, and that's time of possession. That's grounded it out, and that could be the key to victory. But I still think Cincinnati is live in this matchup. I just can't. You can't get me over the total today. I can't get the. Who was the number one? I know it's Shakir, but there's no real passing threat. Right?
Which
Kincaid
is
comes back.
To say about a team quarterback by Josh Allen.
But isn't it? Am I wrong?
Oh.
Keon Coleman every few weeks potentially catches a touchdown, but you don't have a pure number one in a go-to spot.
Josh Allen threw for 123 yards last week, and it wasn't surprising. And people can say, he didn't throw it that much. 5.3 yards per attempt, lowest of the season. And it wasn't that surprising. We've seen the Steelers' defense be vulnerable. It's weird. I will say the thing I was going to say off the top, because then we just don't have to get into it. Yes, I'm stressed about the Cincinnati team because they've given me hope where they shouldn't have.
You actually see the light at the end of the tunnel.
If they win this game, I think they're the favorites to win the North. They won't be booked as such because one of Pittsburgh or Baltimore is going to get a win today. If Cincinnati can pull off this upset, I really, really believe they go to favorites. I believe in my mind, they'll be favorites. They don't go to favorites, but in my mind, they'll be favorites to run the table.
Okay.
That's how I see Cincinnati. And I'll just say this for people who think, Buffalo needs this for the division. The division's cooked. They're cooked. They're not catching the Pats. I can explain the tiebreakers another time. We got more great games to break down. Chiefs-Texans, it's all next. It's right here on SportsGrid. You're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I think.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had recent success, maybe not so young, but not they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags, it's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. The Chargers hanging on right now to that 5, and Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real.
Yeah,
they lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave.
Yep.
He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when, the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number one in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Back in the right here on SportsGrid. It's Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi. Lisi, how we feeling? 30 away, CFP committee.
Looking forward to that. What do we have, 28 minutes?
Yeah, countdown's on. Countdown's on. You want me to see if there's any market movement?
Yeah, why not? What do we have?
Just in case, Notre Dame, up to minus 3,000. Doubled since we opened the show 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, this is why.
Doubled.
Like, stuff like this, like these bets, we got to have a little oversight with these.
Yeah, I hear you.
We saw this move with the Florida State news a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like,
no, but it's important, Joe. Minus 260 on Alabama and plus 156 on Miami. So they still think Bama, but it's dropping. We'll keep eyes on.
They're going to put Bama and Notre Dame, which would cause, if it is that way, Kev, it's going to cause huge pandemonium with the head-to-head. How could you put Notre Dame over Miami when they played week one? Then it's meaningless, and Bama loses. They get abused. They didn't look good, and here we are. I'm telling you, it's going to cause a lot of pandemonium, and it's you're going to see. I'm telling you, it's going to be why play the games then? That's what they're going to say.
Look, it's going to get interest, but that comment seems like it's coming regardless. Why play the games?
It's coming. I mean, Texas had already said they're going to stop scheduling Ohio State.
A lot of this is solved, though. I know you're not going to like it. I'm just saying, 16-team playoff.
And then we'll be complaining about teams 17 through 24.
You know what the difference will be, though? I know this is what you're not going to have. Is people saying, though, that the 17th or the 18th team could win the title. We still, at a 12-team format with auto bids going to G5 teams, feel like we have title contenders who could miss.
But that's
people
the
might push
beauty
back
of it.
on
But that's the beauty of it. That's why
I
college.
don't think it is,
the controversy has always been a part of the sport.
But you know what? Listen, I don't mind people yearning for the glory days of college football, but they're never coming back. Where making a bowl, hey, you didn't make the playoff, but you're in the Citrus Bowl. No, man, no one cares.
Well,
you're playing in that Citrus Bowl.
You're a college basketball guy.
Sure.
So let's say you have a team 55, right?
Yeah.
And that team is in the SEC. I don't know.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State at 20 and 14.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as long as they make a run in the SEC championship tournament, they're good.
Yeah.
They get knocked off in the first round, and the team that's under 500 wins it and gets that automatic bid.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think the thing within college basketball, the way it's set up, you're never really leaving out teams that are expected to win a title. So that feels a little bit better. And also, there's so many seats at the table. Like the teams you're leaving out, it's a lot different.
All right.
Right? It's not as close, right? Like, Joe, the gap between A&M and Vanderbilt isn't that big.
No.
And one team's been comfortably in for weeks now, and the other team has no chance here on Selection Sunday. Let's get down to it, though. We've got the Chiefs and the Texans on Sunday Night Football. This is a rare one. What I mean by that is the conversation couldn't match the spread less. The conversation is, Chiefs, how are they ever going to score the football? How? Texans' defense is beyond humming. It's the best in football. And Kansas City is down not one, not two, but three offensive linemen. The Chiefs are going to have to hope and pray that by some miracle they win this game. 3.5-point favorite. The hook's never disappeared. Not once has that hook disappeared. So clearly, Joe, there's belief out there somewhere that Kansas City will do their part in this football game. What are you expecting on Sunday night?
Do what they always do. Beat the Texans. Now, the spread, and you and I have been on this team in back-to-back, so let's not forget, they played in the playoff loss last year, right? Where they missed the field goal. Is that what happened? They missed the field. They got the field goal blocked to cover.
The Texans and
yeah.
Oh, well, that was my best bet by far. Bet it at 8.5. I think it went up to 9.5.
And the kid missed the field goal.
There was a safety. There was a missed extra point.
Right, something like that. Okay.
It finished 9. It was a very frustrating football game.
Long story short, and then they lost the game by 8 points in the regular season. The game that Tank Dell goes down. Remember, he catches the touchdown pass. Right.
Really rattled their cage.
Here's what I know. I think this game's a rocket ship. I think Kansas City has the weapons, even -3 offensive linemen, to exploit that defense over the top. Playing at home, I think they'll do what they always do. And I'm still not sold on a C.J. Stroud in this passing attack. Outside of Nico Collins, they're a one-trick pony. Sorry, I know Hutchinson has come on, Higgins, that's all well and good, but this is not by far an elite wide receiver corps. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Marquise Brown. I think they're going to listen. Stingley can only cover one guy.
It's true.
Right? So figure him on Rice. I think it's a big day for Worthy. Could be a big day for Kelsey underneath. I think Mahomes could throw for potentially 250, 275 in this game, and I think they win I don't want to say convincingly, but 7 or more, I think they win it by.
So I want to say that we do the target player prop segment on Game Time Decisions on Wednesdays. And, we try and figure out, hey, what are some props going to be and this, that, and the third. And I was like, you know what, man? You know what could be an interesting bet is Mahomes under 1.5 passing touchdowns. We know how good the Texans are. Mahomes this year, we've talked about it, boom or bust, right? He throws 3 or he throws 1 or fewer. And is he really going to get to 3 on this team? Well, as I was starting to try and piece that together for the show, there's some of the numbers were out. It's such a big game. -145, under 1.5 passing touchdowns. And this will sound crazy to people, but again, Lisi's listened to me go nuts when a 1.5 point favorite should be a 1.5 point dog. My best bet on this whole show is Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I don't care. +115 on Patrick Mahomes at home to throw 2 touchdowns. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. The Texans have allowed quarterbacks to throw 2 touchdowns on them. It's not like it's never happened. Of course, they're great. But you also have Patrick Mahomes in one of the biggest games he has played, maybe the biggest in his regular season career. I mean, that's on the board, Joe.
Right.
So for me, to get this at plus money, you have to remember, their team total in this game is about 23.5 or so. So they're projected to score 3 touchdowns. Well, he can throw 2 of them, and it could still not be this high-scoring affair. So I love Mahomes over the 1.5. But I'll add on top of that, I mentioned the conversation around this game. And Joe, this is where I'm very in alignment with you. You always talk about break tendency. Everybody thinks left. Well, what about the right? People keep saying, look, man, Mahomes isn't going to be able to win this game scoring 28, 35. Defense is going to have to play their tail off. Hold on a second. Does anyone think the Texans can score 28 in this game? No. So the Chiefs' MO should not be going into this game. Well, fingers crossed the defense shows up. They should be pedal to the metal, one of their most aggressive offensive games of this season. They're the team that can run and hide. Not Houston. Drop Mahomes back 45 times. If they come out there, 1st and 10, Hunt, 2nd and 8, Hunt, 3rd and 6, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I agree. That's why I like the over. I
agree, Joe.
I like KC and I like the over. The over is my best bet, but I like the Chiefs at home in this type of situation because of the weapons, right? If it was any other team, meaning outside the Chiefs, I would say Houston advantage front 7, right? Because of the offensive lineman. But we know Mahomes is mobile, abused them on the ground, scored a touchdown in the regular season. Didn't he score a touchdown in the playoff win as well, I think? I mean, he can run and extend plays, and then all of a sudden it's like, here we go.
Right.
I think they set the tempo. They set the pace. I just think it's a big day for Worthy. He was held in check for much of the game against the Cowboys, broke out with a big play in the 4th quarter. He could score not 1 but 2, and I just think their weapons shine tonight.
Really excited to watch this game play out here, though. It is so important. A loss for Kansas City, I think, almost assuredly knocks them out of the playoffs. I'll say this early, though. Not the same is true for Houston. We'll be lurking around some numbers if they drop this game. Colts, Jags, next. Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had like recent success, maybe not so young, but not, they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags, it's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. And Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real. Yeah. They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave. Yep. He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number one in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We are so live on SportsGrid, baby. We got a lot to continue to get through here with the NFL. 15 minutes until we dive into the college football playoff selection show. I'm really excited, Joe, but Colts Jags cannot be overlooked. What a game.
Yeah.
8-4 versus 8-4. The first place Jacksonville Jaguars at home. 1.5-point dog. Man, I got to tell you, too, it's up to 2.5. We go into games like these. I feel like and I think the same is probably true the other way, usually have a decent idea where the other might be looking. This is a I can't tell game for Joe Lisi.
Why?
How am I supposed to know which way you like in this game?
I like the Colts.
Really? Yeah. Whoa. Line in the sand.
No?
I feel like you've liked just Jacksonville team a little bit throughout the season. I know you've liked the Colts, but
yes,
wow.
I like Jacksonville, yes and no. I still think Trevor Lawrence is too inconsistent for me. And I know they played Tennessee. They beat him up. But, again, you watch him play, he's just, for me, he's still not getting it.
He's not getting it?
He's not getting it. The bell's not going on. The light's not going off upstairs, I see him make some terrible throws.
That. Yeah.
Again, how could this team win? I don't know. You have a pure number one in Brian Thomas, so you never give him looks.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I will say the addition of Jacoby Myers has been fantastic. And I love the rushing attack with Tootin and Travis Etienne. But I still think the Colts, in this type of spot, backs against the wall, coming off a home loss, now going on the road in Duval County, I just feel like they could take care of business. I think it's a big Jonathan Taylor day. I know he's been inconsistent over the past couple of weeks, but I believe in Daniel Jones in this spot a little bit more, and it sounds crazy, than Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
And that's what I'm rolling with, to win this game basically by a field goal. You give yourself a little breathing room. You want to say a 2-point conversion, that's fine, but I think they beat them up today.
So I thought this line would look about how it does, right? Maybe it's moved out a little bit to the Colts. At 3, I would have to probably play Jacksonville at that point, but I don't think we're getting to 3. That just doesn't seem very likely. My
I have a few issues, though, within the game, right? So on the Colts side, Joe, they are clearly being snapped back to reality. You know, the thing with Indianapolis, some of the reason I think there was hesitation is they didn't have a number of marquee victories. They dominated the Chargers in L.A. That was absolutely incredible, right? But they, you know, the Denver game, it was weird. Denver also, you don't get as much credit for beating Denver. They lost to the Rams. But when they lost to Pittsburgh, I didn't crush them because, you know, I liked Pittsburgh in the game. So it's hard to crush a team when you kind of don't love the spot for them. But they're very close to losing to Atlanta. Kansas City, they had to lead the whole game. They lose it. I liked their spot against the Texans last week. That was it. Look, if the Colts was going to bounce back and get right, that to me, that was it. They didn't. Offense didn't feel the same. I know the Texans are playing hot, but that was a Houston game through and through. All of a sudden, this Colts team is an overtime result away from losing 4 in a row. It's a little bit free fall. We know Daniel Jones isn't healthy. They're missing DeForest Buckner still. Sauce Gardner was a huge addition that they clearly felt they needed. He's out. Everything for the Colts is trending the wrong direction. But I also can't get to the Jags because I think they've shown they are not to be trusted. It's all up and down. And we saw that, I think, so that was why the Cardinals game was in. And again, it's why I've loved doing the show so much this year is we talk a lot of these games out. We obviously, you know, we do our prep, but like, listen, you got to figure it out. You find someone you trust. The Cardinals spot, a lot of people are like, Arizona. But then it was an Arizona spot. But the Cardinals gave the game away. So the Jags won while playing terrible. So you get to the Titans game, and it's like, yeah, well, the Jags are off of playing awful. So now they're going to play well. They played well. Trevor was great. So I look at today's game. What does that tell me? Oh, Trevor's probably going to be a nightmare in this game. I'm going to throw a pick six. He's going to look all like I don't trust either team. And that's why I take it back to we just broke down the Chiefs-Texans a little bit. You might disagree. The Texans are the best team in the AFC South. I don't know if they're going to win it, but I think they're better than both of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, they have the best defense, best defensive front, maybe the best corner, you know, in the AFC in Stingley. And
most trusted cornerback?
You think Stroud?
You tell me. Stroud, Jones, Lawrence. Which of the other two do you trust more than CJ?
What do you mean, in the AFC? Just
Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence. No, I'm talking about.
In the division.
I meant the division. Maybe I said the whole AFC.
Okay.
I meant from the division's perspective. We know they have the best defense, but I think they have the quarterback.
See, I have problems with Houston at times. I think the offense handcuffs Stroud a little bit too much. I don't think it's so much on CJ as it is the play calling and how D'Amico wants to win games sometimes, right? When he sees that defense rear its heads back, they get a quick lead. He pulls back the reins as opposed to putting the foot on the throttle, and I think that could bite them in a playoff type of situation. Yeah, I mean, I still, you know, it's crazy. I still would lean to Jones here. I know that sounds crazy, but again, being the veteran, and you know, having Jonathan Taylor. I think Indianapolis still has the best rushing attack in the league with Taylor and that offensive line. Not in the league, excuse me, in the division. You know, and I still have concerns like Trevor Lawrence. You watch him, he makes crazy plays. I'm like, he throws the ball. And think about the games over the past few weeks. 3 interceptions, the strip sack against Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always out there.
Sure.
And so I know Jones is playing with a broken, not a fractured fibula, and he's a little limited, but I still would go with Daniel Jones and that offense right now over the rest.
You know, because we're kind of
it sounds crazy, I know.
No, but there's
as
so
I'm
much
talking it out. But
there's so much up for grabs in the AFC. Can I ask you this? The Colts, you know, very recently were favorites in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still feel they could go on a bit of a run in this conference?
I do. I think as long as Jonathan Taylor can run the football, I think Jones is good enough at this point, and he showcased that he can carry this team to another 2 or 3 wins at the end of the regular season. And depending upon who they match up with in a playoff type of scenario environment, maybe win a road game.
Yeah, for me, the Colts had this moment where it's like, ooh, 1 seed are the best team, and I think that they've completely dropped out of that conversation, and I think they're fighting for their playoff lives. And for Indianapolis, they still have to play Jacksonville today and another time, Houston another time, Seahawks, Niners. I'm not saying they're going to lose out. I think that's outrageous. But I think this is a team right now, again, I think more likely to miss the postseason than win their conference. I feel pretty strongly about that. Sunday morning crunch on deck. Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I zig.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had like recent success, maybe not so young, but not, they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags, it's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. And Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real.
Yeah.
They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave.
Yep.
He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number 1 in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on SportsGrid. It is Pro Football Today, and it is time for your Sunday morning crunch. We've got ourselves a great NFL slate here, Joe. I'm looking for a bit of a bounce back in the crunch. Last week, I was staring down the barrel. Could have been 0-3 if not for R.J. Harvey getting in the mix there. I have no idea how you did, my friend. I hope well.
Well, I had, I think Jamison Williams. Are we talking Thursday? I'm thinking now. It was Sunday.
If you're going back to Thursday, maybe the Sunday crunch. Remember the?
No, I think I did. I think I did one out of 3 last week. I got to look.
How about 6-0?
Let's hope.
All right, so starts with you.
Thankfully, Max Brosmer's not starting in Minnesota.
Good.
But that doesn't mean we know J.J. McCarthy's garbage. We get that.
9.
But you're going up against a terrible secondary in Washington, where Bo Nix abused them over the top. Listen, when you get discounted numbers on pure number ones like Justin Jefferson, I have to dive in. It's in the dome. It's one of my favorite totals of the day. I'm going over, Kev, over Justin Jefferson receiving yards today. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
we'll go quick.
I think that at some point it's got to be.
No.
What?
No, yeah, at some point it's got to be, but he's plus 280 for 90 plus today.
All right, well, I want to check. Hold on. See, I don't like that you know that. Okay, good. No, good. I had to check something.
What'd you have to check?
I couldn't do another one. The Blake Baker special, another, you know what I mean? He's not going to sell me something. So I'm happy about that.
Okay.
That's
so
all.
I put another LSU Tiger in the crunch.
I'm sure you
Joe
did.
Burrow.
Yeah, go ahead.
He threw for 261 last week.
Uh-huh.
I think, listen, I know we talked about Chase Brown. It can be an under, but that doesn't mean Joe Burrow's not going to, in my mind, chuck the football. I know there's a little snow in the air, but T. Higgins coming back, I think it's a big day, Joe Burrow, yardage-wise. He might not throw the touchdown, so that's where we agree with Chase Brown. But I like Joe Burrow. Must-win game. Give me over receiving yards, Joe Burrow. And then we talked about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson on the ground, I think today, takes the game over on the ground, through the air. He does what he has to do to pull this game out and cover. I think they dominate today. Again, we know about Derrick Henry, but Lamar Jackson, what did he have against Cincinnati? 24, I think. 27 rushing yards. Didn't run as much, obviously, being in a deficit. Starting at home, he dominates on the ground. You don't like it. I got a shot. I got a shot.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You know,
wow.
I got a shot. That's all I could say. No, I'm live.
Well, listen, I think Joe.
Yeah.
That formula, okay,
yeah,
is maybe not working as good as it once did. Okay. Listen, I hear people have been circling your waters a little.
They smell blood in the water.
Yeah.
Throw the chum around them.
Oh, what's that? Oh, over in the SEC title game. All right, we got it.
No, so just quick, I'll throw it out there. I was in college football on the weekly pick show.
Here we go.
12 games over 500. Okay, the weekly. The one that we put out there.
No. Well, all right, I'm going to do my crunch. That is incredible. You're the best. You are
12
the best.
games over 500, but I lost the game of the year, century, and millennium.
Other than needing to give out the Infinity Stone, this guy's doing just fine.
Give me. I got a 3-pack of wide receivers that make the crunch today. Let's start it off. Jackson Smith and Jigba, bounce back spot of the season. My goodness, this guy comes off of not only his lowest game. I mean, by far, only 20 yards. The Vikings with Mac Brosmer, not a real team. It's a bounce back spot for her. JSN, it's a bounce back spot for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's coming off of a game with less than 200 yards. Those games have been followed up with huge passing performances. Those never happen, ever, without a big game from JSN. If you look this season in the 4 games where Darnold has more than 18.5 completions, which is his prop today, JSN has had 100+ in every single one of those games. This is a JSN day here. Give me over 92.5 receiving yards. You're going to like this one. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. over 43.5 receiving yards. Great buy low opportunity for BTJ. You factor in no Parker Washington, second week back from injury, going up against the Colts defense that has no Sauce Gardner. Brian Thomas Jr. has actually hit this in the vast majority of his games. I really love the number here. It's a great buy low opportunity on Brian Thomas Jr. And then you look right now, no Rome Odunze. 7-point dog, 6.5-point dog for the Bears. They're going to have to throw. The books have decided that the new number 1 is Luther Burden. Maybe, but DJ Moore to me is more the incumbent, and if their numbers are going to be the same, I'm going to play DJ Moore over 38.5 receiving yards. Moore's cleared this number throughout this season. He clears it again today. We approach the CFP committee. NFL insider Adam Kaplan on deck as well. Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I think.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May. The Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had like recent success, maybe not so young, but not, they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags. It's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. The Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real.
Yeah.
They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave.
Yep.
He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show. only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number one in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
New